What's happening around the world?
And what's happening here at home? A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Hashini Patirana.
And I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
The Lanka T10 Super League 2024 from the 11th to the 19th of December.
Open arrest warrants issued to former CBSL Governor Arjuna Mahendran. Minister Nalinda to reveal more names linked to President's Fund. Did the opposition leader officially submit his educational certificates to Parliament? CID report on Grade 5 scholarship examination paper leak submitted to court. Government extends retirement age for doctors.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
The Lanka T10 Super League 2024 from the 11th to the 19th of December.
In a top story for tonight, Colombo Chief Magistrate Thilina Gamage today issued open warrants for the immediate arrest of former Central Bank Governor Arjun Mahendran and a former Director of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Arjan Punchiheva. These warrants were issued in connection with the Central Bank bond scam that took place on the 27th of February 2015.
The Colombo Chief Magistrate today issued open warrants for the immediate arrest of former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran and former Director of Perpetual Treasuries Limited Arjan Punchiheva after the suspects failed to appear in court despite previous orders to do so. The Criminal Investigation Department has charged 6 individuals, including Mahendran and Punchiheva, accusing them of causing a loss of over 600 million rupees to the government through fraudulent bond transactions. The magistrate also ordered that another suspect, Arjun Aloysius, be presented in court at the next hearing.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that the names of more individuals who received money from the President's Fund will be disclosed soon. He recently revealed the names of several ministers who have benefited from the President's Fund since 2005.
ඔබතුමා සඳහන් කළා ජනාධිපති අරමුදල සම්බන්ධයෙන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී විවිධ පුද්ගලයෝ විවිධාකාරයෙන් පාවිච්චි කරලා තිබුණා. නමුත් ඒක යම්කිසි සීමාවක් තියෙනවා අපි වගේ පුද්ගලයෝ අයිදුම් කරනකොට. මේ මොන ක්‍රමවේදය යටතේද මොවුන්ට අසීමිත ආකාරයට නිකුත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ? මේට අමතරව ඔබ සඳහන් කළ පුද්ගලයන්ට අමතරව තවත් පුද්ගලයා මේ ඉන්නව නේද?
ඥාන වර්ධනයට උදව් කරන්න.
The fund is intended to aid in the development of knowledge, provide assistance to persons of national importance and offer relief for poverty. It is in the last category that the board has the authority to issue funds that seems to have enabled this opportunity. I doubt that anyone who has received these benefits has used them to alleviate poverty, advance knowledge or promote religion. When you examine this document, you will notice that I have highlighted only the funds received by politicians during specific periods from 2005 to 2022. Beyond the records, I have presented divisional secretariat members, local council chairpersons, provincial council ministers and many others have also benefited from the President's Fund in a similar manner. This raises serious moral concerns. Some individuals have been granted sums as large as 1 million rupees, whereas an ordinary citizen would receive just 500,000 rupees in multiple installments.
සාමාන්‍ය කෙනෙකුට ඒක වාරික කීපකින් ලබා දෙන්නේ.
ආණ්ඩුවේ ගිණුමකින් එහෙම මුදල් නිකුත් කරන්න හැකියාවක් තියෙනවද?
සමහර අයට එහෙම.
It has been reported that some individuals were issued to those funds. Further investigations are underway. We need to obtain additional documents related to this, and both the Presidential Secretariat and the President's Funds are expected to provide more information. The remaining documents are expected to be released to the media in the coming days.
මාධ්‍ය නිකුත් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
The National Bhikkhu Front, during a media briefing, called for immediate action to recover funds misappropriated by ministers from the President's Fund.
Primarily, it is a financial crime to misuse the President's fund, which was established through legislation for purposes other than its intended use. We urge the current government to ensure that those involved in such financial crimes are held accountable. If this is allowed to go unchecked, the very purpose of voting for a people-oriented government would be undermined. Without delay, the government must disclose the full details to the public and enforce the law accordingly. An investigation must be conducted to determine how the funds were taken, for what purposes they were used, whether they were properly utilized or if they were diverted for other reasons. It must be clarified why the funds were not used to aid the most vulnerable people in the country. This matter should be disclosed to the public, going beyond mere statements in Parliament, through a thorough and orderly investigation and by ensuring that the law is properly enforced. We strongly urge the government to recover any misused funds, returning them either to the Treasury or to the President's fund. The educational qualifications of Leader of the Opposition, Sajith Premadasa, have once again become a topic of a heated discussion. The key question now is, did the opposition leader officially handed his education certificates to be included in the Hansard? Let's take a look at the views expressed on the matter today.
Leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa made a statement and presented his educational certificates to Parliament yesterday.
I felt as though it was my duty to mention all this after Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa brought these matters up, and especially in Parliament. I take full responsibility for everything I just said. I am ready to quit politics and to resign from my leadership role as the leader of the opposition and as an MP if anything I have said is a lie. Never have I ever included a fake qualification on the Parliament website, not even on a resume, and I do not expect to do it either. You can all inquire about these from the relevant institutions regarding the information I have provided.
Cabinet spokesperson Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa expressed these views.
He not
only presented his school certificates but also his birth certificate. We didn't have any major issues with this, as the certificates were submitted earlier this morning. However, when we checked around 5:30 p.m, the certificates had not been handed over to be included in the Hansard. Normally, when such documents are presented, they are submitted to be included in the Hansard for the review of other Parliament members. Or, alternatively, they can be kept in the Parliament library. When we followed up later in the evening, two MPs confirmed that the Leader of the Opposition hadn't submitted them. When checking this morning, the certificates still hadn't been received by the Hansard. While he did show us some of the certificates, further verification is needed. As the Leader of the Opposition mentioned, I expect he will provide the certificates tomorrow. This should have been submitted today, and once officially handed over to Parliament, we will have the chance to review and discuss them.
General Secretary of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Ranjit Madhama Bandara, said that the certificates have now been submitted to Parliament.
Today, the Leader of the Opposition officially submitted the certificates to be included in the Hansard. If anyone has concerns or questions about these certificates, they are free to raise them. He had been asked to present the certificates earlier, and he has now done so. Despite the ongoing criticism, he remained composed. I believe today was the right time for him to present his educational qualifications.
Two brothers arrested for the brutal killing of a dog in Akmimana, Gaul have been released on bail. They were granted bail after being produced before the Gaul Magistrates Court today.
A disturbing video recently shared on social media shows a person arriving in a three-wheeler and violently beating a dog outside a house. Following the incident, police launched an investigation which revealed that the suspects are two brothers residing in Bataduwa, Akmimana. The attack occurred around 4 p.m. on the 11th of December and the dog tragically succumbed to its injuries on the 14th of December.
අපේ බල්ල කෑම කාලේ හැම එළියට එහෙම ඉතින් යනවා ඊට පස්සේ මේ කවුරු හරි පිරිසක් ආවා ඇවිල්ලි ඉවර වෙලා මේ බල්ලට පහර දුන්නා පාර දීලා ඒ වගේ පොළු වලින් ගහලා කළා ගියා ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මේ මම බැලුවේ මේ කැමරා වල බලනකොට මේ තමයි දැනගත්තේ මේ ගමේම කෙනෙක් කියලා පස්සේ දින දෙකක් මගේ නිවසේ හිටිය බල්ලා පස්සේ ආත්තු කරා එහෙම නිවසේ හිටිය පස්සේ මේ පොයේ දවසේම රැය බල්ල නැති වුණා බල්ලගේ පිටින් කිසිම තුවාලයක් තිබුණේ නැහැ බල්ලගේ ඔක්කොම ඇතුලේ ශරීරය ඔක්කොම තැලීම් වගේ තමයි තිබුණේ ඔළුවට පහරක් වැදිලා තිබුණා ඔක්කොම කොන්ද වගේ පන නැතුව වගේ කකුල් දෙක පන නැතුව වගේ ඇදගෙන වැටෙනවා ඉතින් කනගාටුයි අපි ගෙදර හදපු සතා නිසා ගොඩක් මේ කනගාටුයි අපි
The two brothers arrested in connection with the brutal killing of the dog were produced before the Galle Magistrate Court today under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Ordinance. The court ordered their release on bail with two personal sureties of 100,000 rupees each.
Chairman of the Government Medical Officers Association, Tushar Ranadeva, filed a complaint at the Criminal Investigation Department today.
Tushar Ranadeva filed a complaint against the Chief Executive Officer of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority.
The keys to the Isolase Biotech Pharma factory, which manufactured human immunoglobulin, were kept in cupboards at the NMRA. On October 15th, two cupboards at the NMRA were broken into. Since we worked in that division, we immediately informed the chairman about the incident. Following his instructions, we filed a complaint with the Kompanividya police station and also notified the CEO in writing. Unfortunately, the CEO did not take any further steps to inform the CID about what happened.
Do you remember? On the 9th of July 2021, a total of 5,623 documents were deleted from the NMRA cloud. To date, no one has been held accountable. The deleted data included critical information regarding the registration of medicines and medical equipment, as well as the renewal of licenses, all of which were processed online due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Newsfirst with the people.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Feel the love. One rhythm at a time. Tune in to Love Rhythms, Wednesdays 7 p.m. onwards.
Legends 966, Colombo's greatest hits.
The Lanka T10 Super League is hitting the pitch for the first time in Sri Lanka. 6 fierce teams, 1 trophy. Redefining the game on home soil. From the 11th to the 19th of December at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium. Chase the pace of high-speed T10 cricket.
මොකටද මිස්ටර් රාතෝර්?
එම්ලට සාක්ෂියක් ලැබිලා. ඒකයි
Welcome back to the news. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that given the current market situation regarding rice, the government is prepared to adjust the importation period. He made these remarks at a media briefing today.
පුද්ගලිකාංශයට සහල් ආනයනයට පැනවූ සීමා කාලය දීර්ඝ කරලා තියෙනවා.
ඔව් මේ වන විට
We have already imported 22,000 metric tons of rice and we expect an additional 10,000 metric tons to arrive today. The distribution process is currently underway. The government is prepared to adjust the importation period based on future market needs. We will prioritize protecting local farmers, ensuring that this importation process does not harm them. Price controls are also being enforced.
Meanwhile, the cabinet has approved the import of non-iodized salt up to a maximum of 30,000 metric tons on or before the 31st of January 2025.
Due to the recent adverse weather conditions, insufficient salt production has been reported in the country. It has been observed that this could lead to a potential shortage of salt needed for various industries. As a solution, salt producers have requested to import 30,000 metric tons of non-iodized salt. The Cabinet approved the joint Cabinet paper presented by the Minister of Industry and the Minister of Trade and Commerce for the importation of non-iodized salt by the State Trading Corporation, with the supply to be distributed to local industries by domestic salt producers.
The Cabinet has decided to amend the retirement age for doctors to 63.
In 2022, the government lowered the retirement age for doctors from 65 to 60. However, for specialists, medical grade officers, dental specialists, dental surgeons, grade medical officers and licensed specialists serving under the Ministry of Health, the compulsory retirement age was set at 63. A case was filed in the Court of Appeal regarding this issue. The Cabinet has now approved an amendment to extend the compulsory retirement age for all specialists, grade medical officers, dental specialists, dental surgeons and licensed specialists to 63 in line with the pension code. This change will apply to those scheduled to retire by December 31st this year. The Ministry of Defence has announced that all civilians who still possess firearms and ammunition must surrender them by the 20th of December.
In a statement, the Ministry of Defence requested civilians who have not yet returned their firearms and ammunition to do so without delay. The process of collecting firearms from civilians began on the 21st of November, and so far, around 85% of the firearms have already been handed in. In addition, the Ministry has instructed that any firearms and ammunition issued by the police and military must also be returned by the 31st of December. 4 inmates have been injured at the Gaol prison. Police said that the injuries were caused by an altercation between rival groups of inmates within the premises.
The incident occurred around 11:30 am this morning, with 4 inmates sustaining injuries including cuts and bruises. The injured prisoners were transferred to the Bursa Prison Hospital for treatment, with heavy security measures in place during the transfer.
A detailed report on the investigation conducted by the Criminal Investigation Department on the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination was submitted to the Supreme Court today. The report was submitted by the Director of the Criminal Investigation Department, SSP Mesha Mutumala. According to the order of the Supreme Court, the detailed investigation report on the incident, which was to be submitted before 9 am today, has been submitted to the court. The Supreme Court considered the petition filed to reconduct the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination held on September 15, 2024. The judgment will be delivered on the 31st of January.
The Department of Meteorology has urged naval and fishing communities in the Bay of Bengal to closely follow the forecasts and bulletins issued by the department. The low-pressure area in the southwest Bay of Bengal is likely to move further northwestwards towards the Tamil Nadu and South Andhra Pradesh coasts during the next 24 days.
The Department of Meteorology forecasts that showers or thunder showers can be expected at times in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts. Showers can also be expected in the northwestern province. The Department of Meteorology further warns of showers or thunder showers at several places in Uva, central and eastern provinces and in Hambantota and Polonnaruwa districts during the evening or night. Additionally, fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters are likely at some places in these areas. Meanwhile, 2 sluice gates of the Mahakanadarava River have been opened by 1 foot each following rainfall in the upper catchment areas of the reservoir. Additionally, the sluice gates of the Tissababa in Anuradhapura have been opened due to the recent heavy showers, which resulted in excess water from the Nachaduwa reservoir being released into Tissababa via the Yoda Ala. Four sluice gates of the Kalababa have also been opened as the reservoir has reached overflow levels.
මට මායාව පේනවා.
රස රහසක්.
හෙට රාත්‍රී 7:30ට
Sirasa Telethirain.
Welcome back to the news. The all-share price index of the Colombo Stock Exchange recorded an all-time high once again today.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
The all-share price index of the Colombo Stock Exchange recorded an all-time high, closing at 14,654.26 points. The SPI increased by 39.96 points. The S&P SL20 was recorded at 4,390.12 points. According to the CSE, a turnover of 5.8 billion rupees was recorded at the close of trading today.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
Dinush Kurera has been sentenced to 37 years of imprisonment for murdering his wife in her Sandhurst home in Melbourne's southeast in 2022. Pereira must serve at least 30 years before he can apply for parole.
Dinush Kurera has been sentenced to 37 years in jail for murdering his wife Nelomi Pereira with an axe in front of their teenage children in what a judge had described as a brutal and horrific attack. The Victorian Supreme Court today heard that Kurera claimed he was acting in self-defense when he repeatedly stabbed his wife Nelomi Pereira with an axe and knife at her Melbourne home on the 3rd of December 2022. Justice Mandy Fox today said Dinush Kurera had put forward a hopeless explanation that he acted in self-defense as she sentenced the 47-year-old for murder and attacking his son. Kurera chose to plead not guilty to murder at trial. The court was told that Kurera was entirely without remorse and continued to blame his wife, while their children were accused of lying about what happened at trial. Handing down their sentence, Justice Fox said she received 27 statements from Nelomi Pereira's family, children and friends, while no one had written a letter on Dinush Kurera's behalf. Kurera was jailed for 37 years over the murder of his wife, with a year added to the sentence for his attack on his son. He will be eligible for parole in December 2052, aged 75.
At least 13 people have died and 2 more are missing after an Indian Navy speedboat plowed into the side of a passenger ferry off the coast of Mumbai.
Footage of the incident posted online shows the speedboat circling before colliding with the ferry. 3 Navy personnel are among the dead, while more than 100 people have been rescued. The Indian Navy said there had been an engine malfunction. An inquiry has been ordered to find out what led to the collision. The privately owned ferry was making its way to the Elephanta Caves, a popular tourist destination, when it was hit by the speedboat. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had offered condolences to the families of the victims of the incident and called the incident saddening. He also announced 200,000 Indian rupees for the families of the deceased, as well as 50,000 Indian rupees for those injured in the accident.
The United States Supreme Court has agreed to hear the last-ditch legal arguments from TikTok as to why it should not be banned or sold in the United States.
The US government is taking action against TikTok because of what it says are its links to the Chinese state, links which TikTok and its parent company ByteDance have denied. The Supreme Court justices did not act on a request by TikTok for an emergency injunction against the law, but will instead allow TikTok and ByteDance to make their case on the 10th of January, 9 days before the ban is due to take effect. Earlier in December, a federal appeals court rejected an attempt to overturn the legislation, saying it was the culmination of its extensive bipartisan action by the Congress and by successive presidents. The Supreme Court is the highest legal authority in the US, and the decision to take on TikTok's case is significant, as it only hears 100 or so cases a year out of the more than 7,000 petitions it receives. TikTok had previously argued that the attempt to ban it was unconstitutional because it would impact the free speech of its users in the country. TikTok today said it was pleased with the Supreme Court's order.
Dominic Pellico has been jailed for 20 years after drugging his ex-wife, raping her and inviting dozens of strangers to also abuse her over nearly a decade. 72-year-old Dominic Pellico was found guilty of all charges by a judge in southern France and cried in court as he was sentenced to the maximum term. He was on trial with 50 other men, all of whom were found guilty of at least one charge, although their jail terms were less than what prosecutors had demanded. The convictions bring to an end France's largest ever rape trial, which over the course of 3 months has shocked the country and the world. In court, Dominic Pellico, who had already confessed to his crimes, was found guilty of aggravated rape. He was also found guilty of the attempted aggravated rape of the wife of one of his co-accused, Jean-Pierre Merica, who had been described as Dominic's disciple, as he drugged and raped his own wife for years and invited Dominic to the same, was jailed for 12 years.
In your sports news tonight, the ICC board confirmed today that India and Pakistan matches hosted by either country at ICC events during the 2024-2027 rights cycle will be played at a neutral venue.
The ICC's decision to hold India's and Pakistan's ICC matches at a neutral venue will apply to the upcoming ICC Men's Champions Trophy 2025, which is scheduled to be hosted by Pakistan and set to be played in February and March 2025, as well as the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup 2025, which is scheduled to be hosted by India, and the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026, which is scheduled to be hosted by India and Sri Lanka. It was also announced that the Pakistan Cricket Board has been awarded hosting rights of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup in 2028, where neutral venue arrangements will also apply. The resolution will allow all parties to breathe a considerable sigh of relief, given how close it is to the start date of the Champions Trophy. The uncertainty has plagued the event from the moment the BCCI notified the ICC that it would not travel to Pakistan for the event more than a month ago.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Do take care and good night.